Hello and welcome everybody to All Nicked Up. It is May 3rd, 2023. This is our second, I believe, maybe second or third playoff edition of All Nicked Up. The Knicks, as we know, the last time we spoke, they had advanced to the second round, and now they are in the second. They played 2 games already. And yeah, we are here. Let me get that up so everyone can see. And yes, so the series is tied at 1. We had 2 very entertaining games. Both games were pretty close. You know, you can argue which game was better if you want to, but I thought both games were pretty well played, and just a couple plays here and there separated both teams in both games. So let me bring Ty in real quick. Hello, Ty.
Yo.
How's it going, man?
Yeah, blood pressure's a little down tonight, so that's good.
Seriously, like I was gonna ask you last night if you wanted to do a show after the game, but with the way that game went, I was like, you know what? I don't have the energy or the strength. I can't.
I would have looked like a complete nut job after that game.
I agree, man. It was crazy. It was such a crazy game. Very, very closer than I think we as Knicks fans expected.
Yes.
We'll get into both games because obviously we have to talk about game 1 first.
Mm-hmm.
So game 1 started very well, right? For the Knicks. They were up at one point, I believe, by 12. They might even have got as high as 15. If I'm mistaken,
I think you're right. Mm-hmm.
I think they got it. This lead was as high as 15. And for a quarter and a half, I'm like, crap, we might, put this team away. In the middle of the second quarter, things started changing. And yeah, of course the Knicks didn't have Julius Randle in game 1. So
yes,
that was a big loss for them. No matter how much we talk about him on this show, he's a big part of what they do, and he's an important piece to what they do. So he was a big loss for them. It just started out really well, though. It really did. The game started out well, and then things started to go south. In the middle of the second, the Knicks, they ended the half up 5. They were still up by 5 points, but you kind of felt the momentum shifting.
Mm-hmm.
Things were kind of swaying in the other direction. And then the third quarter, Miami outscored the Knicks 31-20 in the third quarter. And it was pretty much what they did was they changed their defense on Jalen Brunson to create that 3-man wall that they kind of do right by the free throw line, so he can't really penetrate.
Mm-hmm.
And then you rely on other guys to hit shots. Knicks didn't hit their threes, right? That's pretty much what it comes down to. They shot 7 for 31 in game 1. And that's not going to do it when you can no longer penetrate. They had 42 points in the paint in the first half. They only ended up with 62 for the game. So in the second half, they only had 20 points in the paint.
Mm-hmm.
So Miami made really good adjustments and said, hey, if you're going to beat us, you got to hit your threes. And the Knicks couldn't. So what was your takeaway from game 1?
I mean, pretty much you summed it up in a lot of ways. It was a tale of 2 halves, literally. I mean, you watched the Knicks get whatever they wanted, and in the first half and the second half comes around in Miami, on the Spoelstra, they adjusted. They realized, you take Brunson off this team, and we're not a great team. We're maybe a solid team at best. His heroics are probably not celebrated enough. We are where we are basically because of Jalen Brunson. Shout out to Hart also being an intricate part of why we are successful right now. But when you look at the overall thing, the Knicks were eating in the first half. They were eating everybody else's lunch and their lunch. They were doing really well, and very much looked like they were in command of the game. And then the one kryptonite for the Knicks is shooting. Once you make us try to be marksmen, what they said. There's shooters and there's makers. Well, we just shoot. We don't make. So literally, we ended up being a jump shooting team when clearly our strength is going downhill or the mid-range game. And, we don't have a lot of leeway as far as talent-wise. For marksmen, we have 2. And one of them is semi-injured, I guess, in a sense, in Grimes. And, he's in his second year, third year, whatever. This big moment for him. And the other one is Evan, who does not play. So if you don't have both of those guys in there, to make another team pay for, collapsing or double teaming, you're at the mercy of the isolation play by the Knicks. And sometimes the Knicks can be great isolation players, and there's other times that teams, if they load up the right way, they can make us look real bad. So, it's pretty much that. And I think Miami's intensity kicked up too. I think we came out with the greatest amount of fire, literally, and then from there we ended up becoming the team that was getting hit afterwards. So we punched, then Miami counterpunched, and we found ourselves licking the canvas, because we didn't roll up or get up or nothing. So,
Right.
and we got frustrated. They frustrated the Knicks. I mean, it was clearly on the face of whether we thought were blown calls or getting hit and not getting results from the referees or whatever. They just took us out of our element. And they're a great defensive team. They have a great defensive mind. That is what they hang their hats on in Miami. Since Riley's been there, it's pretty much you're not going to get a lot of offense out of them, but you're going to get beat the hell up, and that's what they do.
Yeah, so I brought up the stats from the game, obviously courtesy ESPN, ESPN.com. I brought up the stats from the game to highlight a couple of the key ones. So I already mentioned the three-point shooting. You can see they shot 7 for 34. Yeah. Miami shot 13 for 39. That's a how many point difference right there? So it's about a 6-point difference added somehow, right? Figure it out. So then it's the one you look at the final score, right? 108, 101. Yep. And then you look at free throw shooting as well. The Knicks missed 8, Miami missed 6. So that's 2 extra points there. But most of the other categories, the Knicks did what they have been doing. They out-rebounded them 48-39. The turnovers were a little high for them, but that's right on their average. They're around 12 or 13. Miami only getting 9 was a big deal. Mm-hmm. This is what I mentioned before about points in the paint.
Yeah,
62-38. I felt like there were a few times in the game where the refs, in this game anyway, in game 1, I thought there were key points in the game where the Knicks might have gotten a call, unfavorable call to say the least. But that happens, right? That happens in the game. So, it happens in all sports. Refs. A lot of times the refs want to make it about them, and we know.
They become the stars of the game. They take over the game, unfortunately.
Yeah, so that kind of happened a little bit.
Tony Brothers was refereeing that game. The Knicks should have known.
Yeah, and what's his name last night? God, who's the ref? I've been talking about this all day with people. Now it slips my mind. I've been tweeting about this all day. I can't think of the referee's name who ref last night, but Miami's something like 0-7 when he refs or something like that.
Yeah.
So I was like, so everyone obviously is making that kind of a correlation. And I mean, the Knicks
Scott Foster.
Scott Foster. Yes.
Thank you, Craig.
Thank you, Craig. Yeah. And yeah, I mean, there were some questionable calls last night that the Knicks got. So, right, you see in the first 2 games kind of balances out.
Exactly.
That's usually what happens with refereeing, in my opinion. So, that we had that. But game 1 went to them. The biggest thing that happened from the game, though, was Jimmy Butler sprained his ankle.
Yeah.
Right. So, it was towards the end of the game. It wasn't in the beginning of the game. It was towards the end. And he couldn't do anything after that. He literally airballed a 3. You could tell he wasn't moving well. We all said they should have attacked him. Why they didn't, I don't know.
I don't know what was up with that. I mean, you got a guy out there, and I don't know, as competitors, I mean, you're there to win the game. And if they're going to roll him out there, you make sure he gets in as much pain as possible trying to guard you. You want to test everything. You take advantage. I mean, what else are you going to do? I didn't like the one thing I didn't like, and I understand there's a humanity side to life. And if you feel bad for Jimmy Butler, then that's fine. You feel bad after the game. But during the game, I didn't like the dapping up by, Randall going and checking on him, Hart asking him if he was okay. I get it. You like the guy, but we're not here for, cupcake time at elementary school and meet me by the locker. You're there to snatch his lunch, take all his books, and make him look bad and fail his class. That's what you're there for. You're not there for anything less than that. And I just felt like that was kind of you losing your edge, worrying about how he felt. Because I think in return he would crap on you. I don't think he would care. I don't think he would even. He had no problem cheering about it. end up problems, poking out his chest like he had done something great. Not to knock him. He's a very good player, but it's just I just thought that was to me the Knicks succumbing to sensitivity. And we know I don't do Ralph Tresvant songs, so it's like I didn't want to hear that sensitive song. You're there. You have one mission. It's to win a chip. Your mission is not to be sending out sympathy cards from Walmart. Giving people hugs. I don't subscribe to that. I don't believe in second place trophies. It is what it is. You're there for one mission, which is to win. And I was so pissed. There's no other way of really saying it other than using profane words. How I felt watching them know he was wounded. He was a wounded animal. But to not put him in a pick and roll, to not isolate RJ, to not make him prove he wanted to be out there, the Knicks blew their chance. They should be up 2-0 in spite of, them having that little bit of a collapse. They were very much in that game, like you said, 7 points. It was just, to me, like I said, a moment where they had an opportunity to step on someone's throat, and they decided to give him a cough drop. I didn't like that.
I agree. They definitely kind of did something. They did, like you said, they didn't take advantage of that when something was presented to them. No matter how, like you said, no matter how you feel about Jimmy Butler, your first goal is to win the game, right? Hey, like you said, after the game, then you could dap up, be like, "Are you okay? Hope you're feeling all right." Whatever. Be nice, but they weren't. And hey, he had a fantastic game. He was really key. Yep, he was key to their entire game plan, which he always is. He's had a fantastic playoffs.
Yeah.
So the Knicks kind of dropped the ball a little bit with him.
Mm-hmm.
In game one, I really thought they would. When that happened, I thought they would attack him. But it also goes to show you the difference in the league now. The league is not the same that it used to be.
I like Craig's comments. We asked the question when we were watching the game. How would Craig feel about him? And I said, I can't say what I said Craig would say, but I was like, it was flock somebody. I'm more than sure that's what it was. He said flock of geese.
Yo, he really is. I mean, they have Bam Adebayo an all-star, so they have another guy who's a really good player on their team, but they don't have Tyler Hero, who killed the Knicks, the Knicks every time he plays them, he kills them. So they don't have him. So when you're letting Jimmy Butler, and then the other guy, Craig's favorite player ever, Kyle Lowry, his favorite player, turns back the clock. And everything. He turns back the clock, right? And he starts playing like the Kyle Lowry who made all-star teams when he was in Toronto. Starts coming up big in the end of that game. He was to me the difference. Butler was there throughout the game, but Lowry was the guy who made the big shots. And see, Craig is getting super petty here.
Saying all nice things about.
We're talking about, of course, Kyle Lowry. So that was kind of disappointing because the Garden was rocking. The energy was fantastic.
Yes.
Like it was Knicks basketball the way we remember it in that place, and it was a little disappointing how the game ended. But that's why it's a you got to win 4, right? It's 4 out of 7.
4, yeah.
So last night the Knicks came back and even the series in Game 2 they won 111-105. Also highlighted by the return of Julius Randle, who was fantastic.
Yes, he was.
He really was last night. Nothing you could say bad, really, except for that boneheaded turnover at the end. It's always one thing, right? There's one thing.
Always one thing.
But yeah, that was the one play I was like, I don't believe this guy. He wants us to pick on him. Like he literally is not happy.
Yeah. He reminds me of like what they do on the internet. They draw the red circle around and say, "Did you see that in the video?" Well, that's Julius Randle, because when you watch him, it's like I was just referring to him earlier. I said he's really good. I mean, like when you think about what you want out of your star player, comes in shape, he works his butt off. He's not in any trouble. He gives you max effort on the court. It's like, that's been a little question at times when he
on offense he does.
When he drifts from time to time. But I said, really, his issues have always been the mental part, not about him showing. He shows up in shape. He loves basketball, loves his kid. He probably eats, sweet potato pie at home. He does everything. The guy is just a nice guy. He's probably the one person that you like, oh, fight Julius over. He's fun to have over. He's probably one of the nicest people. It's just for every 10 things he does great, he finds one thing that he does that makes everybody forget about the 10 great things.
It's true.
And it's the most polarizing guy or athlete I've ever seen in New York, where he literally can go from being, hero to GOAT, like in one play, and it will be talked about for the next several games. Like, did you see what he did? And it's like, well, this dude was putting up 35 and 8, and you're like, but he had that. But did you see that one turnover? Did you see that spin? And it's unfortunate with him. It always seems to be him that gets these plays that and I would be lying if I said I didn't curse at the television when that came about, because I was like, you've ruined everything I had to say great about you all night. At the wrong time.
I literally looked at this video and I'm like, come on. That's exactly what I said. I'm like, you serious? Like, he had such a good game. He really did. He was so good. In the fourth quarter, he didn't take one shot, but he was huge because he was making the right plays. He was finding the open man. He was really good. And then that one play that could have cost him the game.
Cost him the game.
He did it because right after that happened, Duncan Robinson hit a 3.
Yep, a huge 3.
Yes.
And it's very funny with Julius, because I think Julius sometimes, there was a play prior to that where I want to show Quentin Grimes was on the bench like, ha, 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 or was like on his head like, because Quentin Grimes at one point, he passed the ball to Mitchell Robinson, which is like, why would you even do that? While at the closing win, they got it down full court.
Yeah.
They go to the corner to Grimes, and Grimes should have held, and he decided to pass. And when he did that, luckily it ended up in Mitchell's hand, but that's not always luck. That could be a bad thing ending up in his hand when he's got to shoot free throws.
He hit one.
He did hit one. but Julius's response to Grimes was like,
I know.
He whoa. He aired him out. And you could see the look on Grimes' face. And I'm like, but I'm going to show you he's going to the bench. And he was like,
I know. It's literally like 20 seconds later.
You should be one to talk. So he had to have that moment.
Seriously. Yeah. When that happened, I'm sure he was like, see? Keep your mouth shut, because you never know.
Bad karma come back to you, Julius. So we got receipts, unfortunately. I'm sure Grimes like you haven't spin like Booker T one too many times. Come on.
Well, outside of Julius, the mid 3 that we have, obviously, they both showed up and they had to last night, because the bench gave them nothing.
Nothing.
Literally, except for Hartenstein, the bench gave them nothing. RJ Barrett was fantastic in the first half. Really, he kept them in the game, because, look, if he didn't play that well in the first half, they probably would have gotten blown out.
Yep, they're done.
And we'd be having a much different conversation. But Barrett was fantastic in the first half last night. He's been very good since game 2 of the Cavs series. He's been their most consistent player. The guy that we always scream about being inconsistent has been the most consistent Knick since game 2 of the Cavs in the Cavs series. So hats off to Barrett. And then Brunson in the second half, just he did what he's been doing all year, put the team on his back and carried them home. But they needed them they needed every point, every minute that they played last night.
Everything.
Because without those 3, we're having a much different conversation today.
No, that's true. And the one thing I like about I'm ecstatic for RJ Barrett. I'm ecstatic because you know what? Batman Barrett. When you think about all the criticism this kid has dealt with from the day he got drafted and up until this very playoff, up until Cleveland, the whole talk has been about this guy basically being a bust. Just to put it where it is. He's gotten compared to his whole draft class. He's trash. He's not John Morant. He's not Zion Williams or old Zion. Beignet Zion. We've been sitting here talking about all these other guys, Garland. what's the dude? Hunter in
Hunter, yeah.
Atlanta. You hear all these talks about RJ, and his shortcomings, which don't get me wrong, there are times where you look at RJ and like, what are you doing? Like, we've had these moments, but we've also said not to excuse away, but also understand that he's played in a role he has never been in before, and this is him adjusting to being now going from a number 2 possibly to a number 3, and then sometimes a number 4, depending on the lineup and how Tom Thibodeau, who he favors at points. Josh Hart finished the game, and Brian finished the game.
Grimes, yeah, they did.
And RJ had the best game literally out of most of all the guys that did start. Outside of Brunson. So I'm just saying, when you look at the totality of RJ, he's going through a lot of transition. But I ask anyone, they talk about that draft, where they at now? I'm gonna go complete Imani's here. Where they at?
Yeah, someone had made a picture of RJ holding this sign, and it had every player from in the lottery on it, and he was the only one that wasn't X'd out because he's the only one left in the playoffs.
Where they at? That's all and this has been my biggest thing about when talking about RJ. I've said it several times. I know RJ doesn't have a pretty game. I know, I told you earlier he could stand to do some yoga. Yeah, this is put it.
He's very stiff. He's got a very stiff
dude. He's not fluid.
Nope.
We can pick out everything. But this is the one thing I said coming into the draft about RJ. I said I think he would win a title before those other guys.
You did say that.
And it wasn't because I think he's better than Zion or that we don't, I wanted John Morant. That was the guy I was hawking for the longest time before the draft came. I said, if we can land John Morant, clearly the talent is there. But I said, RJ might be the better winner out of those guys because he may not be the best player on to focus a franchise on, but he's a winner. He's going to do winning plays for you when it counts.
Yep.
And we're seeing right now, in the streets of New York, in a city where nobody sleeps and it's very hard to win and stomach as an athlete. This guy has just showed the hell up. Let's just put it where it is. He looked like a New Yorker, like we've been talking about, understanding what New York is about, showing up to work with your hard hat, be relentless. And this dude was like, you think I suck?
Yeah,
let me tell you who I am. Literally, he like kicked in the door with Biggie just playing all in the background because he literally says, I was the number 3 pick. And before that, I was the number 1 high school player getting drafted, getting recruited into college. Put some respect on my name. And now he's got like stats. I forgot. I think Tommy Beer had posted. He's like in selective category in select. I think it's him, LeBron. It's several guys. I don't want to get my phone because it will distort it. But he's in rare air. It's like him and 6 other people that have the stats that he's showing right now in this young playoff. So that dude's a bad dude. I call him Badman Barrett. I'm not the first one to call him that, but that yard boy know what the heck he's doing out on the floor when he's called. And the pressure goes on, and he lights up. He's our most clutch player outside of Brunson. Brunson's been damn clutch this whole season, as far as being able to close out games. But the big shot taker, the guy not afraid to be to be the GOAT at the end of it or the hero, that's RJ Barrett. And he's proven that. So he's been the most consistent Knick.
No, he has. Like I said, since game 2 of the Cavs series, he's been the most consistent performer that they've had. This is probably the thing you were looking for. He's the 6th player NBA history, age 22 or younger, to score 19 points, shoot 47% in 5 straight playoff games. And he's in the category with LeBron, Dwight Howard, Amari, Kareem, and Jerry West. Yeah, that's pretty good. That's a pretty good group of guys to be lumped in with. But yeah, that's really been the thing. Like we've always said that his makeup and his demeanor is perfect for this town, for this city. His mother's from New York. His father went to college here. So like they know he has that connection to the city. His grandparents lived here, so he used to come every summer. Like he knows what New York's about, and it's you could tell it's part of his demeanor because nothing phases him. Literally, you can't tell if he's having a great game or a terrible game. You look at him, it's the same. So I understand when people have questions about him and pointing out his flaws because we talked about it. We've talked about his flaws. He seems to have adjusted his jump shot. Who does that in the middle of a playoff series? This kid has, and crazy. It's been great. Like he's been shooting so much better since they've done it. Him and Drew Hanlon have made the change. So like he hears it. He doesn't show you he hears it, but you know he hears it because he immediately starts changing and addressing the issues. He doesn't wait. And yeah, it was tough, man. He just got paid last year, so everyone was expecting him to ball out this year. He comes in, he has to take a back seat to another player who signed a big contract.
Yeah.
You know, and I just think the season was all about him adjusting for him, having to find out where can I pick my spots. You know, where am I? When am I gonna get the ball? He's taken less shots this year than he has his entire career. I mean, it's a tough thing for a guy. We keep saying he was the third pick. Most of the time when you're the third pick, you're going to be the focal point of your team.
Yeah, absolutely.
And, you know, he doesn't have that title. He never had it because Randall was great that year. He came, you know, and that was it. Like, so he's had to make some adjustments. He never complains. You never see him upset. I mean, it's, you know, he's just built, I think, for this talent. You're right, man. I told you that in his first 3 years, this year might have dropped off a little bit. But his first 3 seasons in the NBA, he was shooting like 60-something% in clutch time. I think now it's about 52 or so, but it's still a really impressive number.
For
yeah, like he could be shooting 1 for 11, and I still would be like, get him the ball because he's gonna do something. He's gonna hit the shot. Like you feel confident saying that he's gonna hit the shot. So he's been fantastic. We already talked about Randall Brunson, obviously last night. You know, second half, first half, I was like, what the hell? He did that again.
Yeah.
I don't know what happened. I don't know what invisible juice he drank at halftime or, you know, the secret stuff from Space Jam. I have no idea. But he came out in the second half. It was completely different. And yeah, that was the guy we've seen all year. And it was, thank God, because, man, as that game should not have been that close, I think, for a lot of us, we feel. And he literally in the second half carried them home.
Yeah.
Had some help. He definitely had some help. We would be remiss if we didn't mention the Hart Foundation.
The Hart Foundation. I like that. I like that take on that. That's a nice one.
As they've been being called, I can't take credit for that. I think I heard Alan Hahn say it, so that's
nice.
That's Alan's, yes.
Oh, it's a hitman in the anvil. I like that
one. Obviously, we're talking about Isaiah Hartenstein and Josh Hart, who
I like that one.
Since they got him, they're 21-10, I think their record is or something like that. Since they got Josh Hart. I mean, we spoke about him last week. There's really nothing more you can say. The guy just does all the little things. He almost had a triple-double last night. He hit 2 big 3-point shots in the fourth quarter. He was great. In crunch time, he was great. He's a great interview. He's eating all the time at the podium. He's just a really, he's a really, really cool dude too. So he's very easy to root for. We were hard on him repping New York when he first came here, but I'm letting him do it now. He's
a New Yorker now.
He's earned the stripes. He definitely has.
He earned it.
So, and Isaiah Hartenstein, I mean, what can you say?
Mitch was any last night for him, to be very honest. I mean, as much as we praise Brunson,
he had four offensive. Yeah, he had 4 offensive rebounds on one set. Like it was one possession. And he got 4 on that, and then they finally scored on that one.
Yeah.
I mean, him and Mitch are a great tandem, and some nights it's Mitch, some nights it's Isaiah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And last night it was Isaiah because he was, only 3 points. It was only 1 for 2, 1 for 1 for the line, but he had 9 rebounds. 4 of them offensive, probably all on that one.
that one sequence, yeah.
And he was just great. So those 2 guys, along with the other 3, really, I think, filled in all the gaps that they had. Mm-hmm. Because, dude, What the hell? How many Miami shot? Hold on, I'm gonna look up
Man,
this really
I thought
quickly.
I thought I was watching the Warriors last night.
How many threes? They shot 49 threes. They took 85 shots and 49 of them were threes.
Wow.
They hit 17 of them, and this was been a problem all year for the Knicks, right? We keep saying
Absolutely.
they gave up the third most threes in the league, and everyone's like, oh well, they hit low percentage. Yes, we get that, but if you're giving up more, if that percentage doesn't matter as much,
Yeah.
right?
Yep, it doesn't matter.
So I was scared, man, for a part of that. Large portion. I'm sure you were too.
Oh yeah, I turned the TV. Yeah, you know me. What I tell you, I said sometimes I got to turn away, watch the Cooking Network or something. I don't know, watch something goofy other than watch them get cooked. I'd watch the Cooking Network if I want to watch somebody get cooked. I was just really bothered by. I'm like, you just don't. I'm like, if we lose like this is just embarrassing. This would have been our most embarrassing loss, to be very honest. That I would have been older than Michael Jordan. I would have took this personal. I would have really took this personal if we lost last night's game, because I'm like, you're losing, and no offense to these guys, because they're professionals. I know they lace their shoes up.
Sure.
Whether they're in the G League or not, these dudes can beat any average person. They're like superstars against anybody else. But it was just like, you got no definitive star on this team right now, and you're getting cooked. And you can't let this. You can't be down Jimmy Butler. Then it was down Strus. I think his name's Strus. He went down. And I'm like, they're still in this dang on game. And they're fucking strapping. It was just not good.
Yeah, when Strus getting hurt, it changed things as well. Like if he was in the game, who knows what would have happened? Because he was hitting again, they were hitting him, Martin, Gabe Vincent, that dude, Gabe Vincent, I keep saying last night, like he's in the league now, but he was a G leaguer for like 3 years. Like props to this kid because he worked hard.
Yeah.
But I mean, come on. Martin again, 22 points. Gabe Vincent, 21 points. And then their bench actually performed better than them last night. Their bench had more. Yeah. Yeah, like it was so annoying, but you have to think in the back of their head, they were saying, we already got the first one. Yeah. We don't have Jimmy here tonight. They were playing, I said all game, they were playing loose. The Knicks were playing very tight. Yeah. And, it definitely showed in some of the decisions and how some of the shots the Knicks took, especially early in the game, weren't going. Like I felt like they were short a lot. They were short arming them, weren't following through. A lot of yeah, like I kept seeing these things, and I'm like, they're tight, man. They're just a very tight team right now. But we would be remiss also if we did not bring up the second in the history of this team, the second big 4-point play, because it was controversial.
Big time.
So when you first saw it, I'll just ask you this, because we were talking during the game, but when that happened, I didn't I was busy with something else, and I turned my head away, and I turned around, and I remember we were messaging about it. What was your first thought when you saw the foul call? What did you think?
I didn't think it was good. I thought the foul happened before the 3-point shot, and the whole time I'm sitting there, I'm like, they're gonna reverse this. I said, there's no possible way. Watching the fluidity of Brunson, who had to, work his way up, because he's got the mechanics going there, and I was like, clearly, bam, foul, iHeart, but I'm like, that happened, and then the shot. It was like, that's the way I viewed it. And I'm like, with the Knicks' luck, this is getting overturned, and it's going to be the side out. I don't know what the foul situation was. I was like, but it's not going to be a 3-point play and a potential 4-point play. And I didn't think it was good. I mean, I know the shot was good, but I didn't think that it happened simultaneously.
Well, they wound up reviewing it with the league office, and they wound up upholding the call. And the reason for it wasn't when the foul actually occurred. It's when the ref actually calls it. That's the difference. So the ref, he might have hit him early, but the ref puts up the arm, and if Brunson's in his shooting motion when that happens, then the foul stands, and that's why that stood, because because I thought the same thing when I saw the replay. I'm like, oh, this is not going to count.
Yeah.
I'm like, that sucks, because that was seriously, they were down, I think 7 at that point. They might have been down 7.
They needed every bit of what they got.
And that was a huge call, because if that doesn't count, okay, Hartenstein gets 2 free throws, right? Because he got fouled on the shot. So I think he still would have been at the line. But you don't get the 3. It's not a possible 4-point play. So then you lose 2 points right there. If he makes both free throws.
Makes them, yeah.
Right. And then Miami could come down and score. And then, it really was a huge call.
Big time.
This time, though, from the letter of the law, it was the right call. Like, when I watched it, I didn't think so. But if the rule says it's when the ref puts his arm up, which apparently that was the rule,
then it makes sense.
Then it makes sense. So they got lucky there. It wasn't like the LJ one, which clearly that was a phantom foul.
Yeah, I'm still looking for that. I'm still looking for the evidence on that.
I mean, it benefited the Knicks. They won that series, so it's great. But man, every time I watch it, I'm like, that really wasn't a foul.
I think that clip was brought to you by Vegas. When I see that play, because I'm like, somebody had money. I mean, let's just keep it apart. I mean, we can say it now, Knicks fans.
Was Donahue reffing that one? Was Donahue?
I don't know. Somebody had some money, because every time I've watched that, I'm like, what foul?
It was the biggest touch foul ever. The other one people will bring up was the Hubert Davis one with Scottie Pippen. A lot of people bring that shot up, but he hit his hand. Like, that was that
one. We can pass that one, because that one looked like. I mean, watching it at the time, I'm only sure Bulls fans would be like, yeah. I can almost see that one like being controversial in the sense like, did it happen? Did not happen? The LJ one never happened. I don't care what Knicks fans want to stand on that. I mean, I love my fandom, but LJ didn't even know that foul happened,
right?
Because it never happened. That was just terrible.
I mean, the funny thing is the with how loud the Garden got when LJ hit that shot. Had they not counted that? Someone was getting
somebody gonna get murdered.
Riots.
The riots never made it home.
Dude, that would have been such a crazy. Oh man. So it's funny. I'm sure it happens in other places, but we, since we're Knicks fans, these are the ones we remember.
Yeah.
But second time in a series. It was another semifinals too, I believe. Or was that the?
I think it was the semifinals, because
I think it was.
Yeah. So semifinals matchup. It was. I'm telling you, I know I'm a tainted Knicks fan. I don't expect us to get any favors. That's always been the mentality. I think most Knicks fans kind of feel that way. And the minute I saw that, I'm like, they're overturning that.
Yeah, me too.
We're just gonna go down 2-0 and nice season. That's the way I kind of took it. And
because definitely. I mean, I think this is one series where, like, if they had gone down 0-2, I definitely would have been like, it's a long shot. You got to win 4 for the next 5 to advance. But they might have been able to come back against this team. I don't know, though. It would have been a tall task. I probably was there too. If they lost that game, the season would have probably been over.
Yeah.
So
you got to split with Miami and the Knicks. I always tell people, there's a lot of people who say about this series, whether the Knicks can win or I don't. If you follow this season and the series, it's always close. These teams are weirdly enough matched equally, and even though the Knicks, I think, have more offensive talent, these games come down to the wire all the time, or within 5 to 6 points. It's never a blowout. They're very defensive forward teams, so they're always going to be in the mix. And I think they're always going to be, to borrow a word from wrestling, a slobber knocker. There's always going to be a slobber knocker down the stretch with these two teams just throwing punches. So
it really, it's I mean, these all season. I think only that one game they won by a lot, but all the other games that we played against them, they were close. Obviously, the Julius shot that won the game.
Yeah, that was a big shot.
That was against Matt, right? He fumbled and then hit the shot. So I mean, these teams are they're kind of, in a lot of ways, they're carbon copies of each other.
Yeah.
They're very similar to, especially their strengths.
Mhm.
Because the Heat really aren't a good 3-point shooting team. You could
No.
improve that. You could improve that by right.
They're the Warriors last night.
Right, but they're really not. So, their tenets are defense. But I will say this: we gave Thibodeau credit in the first round, and he did dominate that series, and he was the much better coach between him and Bickerstaff. So far in this series, Spoelstra is putting on a class because
he's always outclassed Thibodeau, in my opinion.
Because he has been much better in both games. Only like last night, he didn't have his full horses. You could say that about the Knicks in game 1 too, if you want. That's fine. Definitely a thing to say. But when they make adjustments, they work immediately. And then to me, Thibodeau he looks like he doesn't know what to do at that. Like he's like, okay, maybe he tells them, but they're not doing it. So it's hard for me to say how the message is getting across. But Spoelstra, man, you could tell he's won titles because this guy knows how to coach. Fantastic coach.
He's a fantastic coach, and I think the thing with Thibodeau, and I've always likened him to a blunt object. Like great coaches are great serial killers. And I'm just going to say it that way. You got some people that they may not get caught with any fingerprints, and the body count keeps rising. Everybody knows I watch Abby Channel. You can get all these body counts keep rising. They're like, well, a lot of people died. We don't know where the bodies are. Could we have a serial killer anywhere near in the area that's operating? Whereas Thibodeau's the kind of guy that's probably going to get caught on camera, hitting somebody with a blunt object and dragging them, leaving all kind of blood everywhere and fingerprints. That's literally who he is, because it's just Neanderthalish in a way. He's got one method. He's going to keep hitting you with that method, and he believes that if I keep striking long enough, it's going to knock you the hell out. But you leave a trail, and it can be an ugly trail in the end. That when you need to clean it up a little bit or make an adjustment, he's getting caught red-handed with the weapon, and all the evidence. So that's part of his issue. Like when you watch him get angry on the sideline, it's like, because he just thinks, and Julius is tailor-made for him, because Julius is the same way. He believes that physically he's going to keep imposing and beating you up, and eventually you'll succumb to it. Yeah, that's until it's almost like with Mike Tyson. He was a great bully until he couldn't bully someone. When you can't keep coming at somebody with just that ferocity all the time, you get somebody who's like Evander Holyfield. It's like, you don't scare me, and I can fight too, and I'm going to outfight you. That's how it is with Spo. Spo's coming in and like, yeah, Thibodeau believes and preaches defense, but these dogs that I've been training for the longest time, they react to the whistles I give on how we are going to defend. And there's no thinking after what I ask them to do. They're out here to follow, and that's the discipline. That's a Pat Riley tree. That's their body fat count on their players, their accountability on their players. This is what we're doing. We're going to run our system. And Thibodeau doesn't have the Knicks with that kind of discipline. He's got talent, but not the discipline, because you see Brunson got cooked a lot yesterday. He was getting cooked. Those three-point shots, he was getting cooked. And the Knicks just never adjusted and said, maybe throw Hart out here. Grimes out here. Or put a bigger defender on this dude. Or maybe don't collapse in the paint. Maybe we'll, because they're shooting threes. How about we don't drop coverage and we guard the line and run them off the three-point line? You saw none of those changes. So, Spo, whether you like him or hate him, he's a better coach in the series. He's going to be the better coach.
Yeah, Craig mentioned this before, but this seemed like a better opportunity to bring it up. So they don't. It's something that I've noticed too. They don't trap much. They don't trap the ball handler either a lot off of the pick and roll. Like when someone sets a pick, it's very rare will they send the other guy to trap the ball handler. So yeah, these are little things that you would think they would make. I also wish they would just stop doubling people that don't deserve to be doubled. Like there's literally no one on that team that should be double teamed. You want right now, you want to say Bam? Maybe Bam in the post. If you want to go there, maybe him. But other than that, they don't have one other guy worth doubling.
Not one.
So what are you doing that for? Like what? I don't understand that specifically. I don't understand that. So
and you talk about doubling Bam. If Bam can get 50, let him get it. If he can get you 50 and win the game, then you don't deserve the win. And I'm not knocking him. He's very talented. That's not what it's about. He's not that dude. He's not that dude that you need to worry about him going for 60 points and carry a team. Butler's that dude. Clearly, we've seen.
yes,
They could have guarded one-on-one and just guarded the three-point line. Those dudes cannot take what maybe Vincent might have been the only guy who might take you off the bounce. That was it. After that, Kevin Love's not going to take you off the dribble.
No, I mean,
nobody off the dribble. Come on.
Lowry probably still can, but yeah. Well, no, yeah, definitely. Luckily, he wasn't hitting his shots last night. Thank God. He didn't have any of those football type passes either last night, so that was a good thing. Hartenstein did though. Hartenstein had a couple. He had a couple.
Was mojo last night.
So it's just that's to me is the biggest outside of Jimmy Butler, who might be the best player in the entire series. I think we can argue that if you want, but he probably is the best player in the entire series. The coaching matchup really is the most, to me, glaring difference. And it's not that Thibodeau's bad, because we've said this before. He's a good coach. He knows his X's and O's. He installs his system. He gets guys to buy in. Those things he's good at. But in-game stuff, he's not. And Spoelstra is just a master at it. Like he's such a good coach. And if he ever were to leave Miami, I would love to coach here.
Yeah. He's cerebral. I think he was a video person at one point. So he clearly watches film.
Yeah.
Not the film that Emmanuel quickly watches, but the film that he watches.
Oh, well, I'm glad you brought him up. I'm glad. I was holding this to the end because
don't hold back. I'm
not holding back. I was just holding this to the end because I wanted to get through all the good stuff first before we get to it's shocking. It is shocking at this point.
Wow.
How bad he has been.
Wow.
Like, and there's no logical explanation for it. That's the problem. He's not hurt.
Nope.
You know what? He's not. I mean, he's been getting less playing time now because he's terrible. But, the coach still talks about how much he believes in him and how it's like he forgot how to play.
Our coach is lying, too.
I understand, too, that the playoffs, the level changes, right? Like the intensity level changes. I understand for some guys it takes them a little time, but this is that was the eighth game they played last night.
Yeah.
Or seventh game. It was the seventh game they played last night because they won 4.
Yeah, because they five in the Cavs.
So it was the seventh game they played last night. And I think I saw someone like he has 7 total field goals or some crazy stat like that.
He doesn't have that many field goals in the whole postseason.
I know it. And he could score. Like we know he can score points. I say that all the time. Like at his core, he's a scorer. That's what he does.
Yeah.
So we know he can. And I'm watching the game and I'm like, I don't notice much difference. Like they're not playing him any differently. He's not getting bodied more. I'm not seeing any difference in how the defense is approaching him either. So what the hell is the problem?
I try to, I jumped off of talking bad about Emmanuel. I was praising him a lot. I said, and see, this is why I should always stick to the core of who I am. Why be a nice person when you really don't mean it? You're just saying it sounds better to not just jump on people all the time. But I'm going to jump on him. Part of the problem with Emmanuel quickly is his bag has always been very limited. Like he does not have, it's either the hero shot playing speedball or you die by him trying to do anything more than 2 dribbles in the half court. And this was the thing that when the beginning of the season, we saw him come around and seemingly mature. His game is like, well, since it was January, whatever, like, this dude could be sixth man of the year because we're starting to see him come along, after the Boston game, et cetera, et cetera. I ask anyone to really tell me what he does great. See, he doesn't have a great skill. He has an ability to get hot. And somebody said this about Vinny the Microwave Johnson a little while ago. It was one of the players. He says, or the coach, one of the coaches, he says, by the time, if I got to wait for him to warm up, the meal might be over. So that's the same thing. Like, Vinny was inconsistent, and you had to wait for him to get hot. Emmanuel Quickly has no great dribble package. He doesn't. When the last time you see him take somebody off the bounce, we're like, oh, he left him in the dust. He did it to Tyrese Maxey, who happened to trip over his feet. And that's been 2 years ago. So it wasn't even like he burned Maxey. Maxey tripped over his foot. He doesn't have the ability to get past anyone. And then when he does get past, he does what I wanted to say is novelty gimmicks. Like, he's got a sideways bump and throw up a shot. It's never something like I'm going to go follow through with a layup and physically push through a guy. It's all of these gimmicky, herky-jerky, kind of like I'm going to draw a foul or I'm seeking a foul. It's never like something that you can rely on consistently where you're going to get it. He's not a great shooter. I know so much has been made about him being a great shooter. He's not. I mean, unless his percentage went up this year, he's not a great three-point shooter. He's not like a marksman.
No.
He's a guy who probably needs an opportunity to run in a fast pace and not be given a lot of responsibilities on what to think about during that fast pace. And then having the ability to have someone space the floor where it gives them opportunities to attack. But right now, what we're seeing is a guy who can't do much more. If he's not hitting his three-point, big shots. And he's not, we saw a little bit of the point guard. He was passing the ball a little bit better. But he's in his own head when he can't score. He's not going to do anything else. Like, at least he was defended during the postseason. I think his plus-minus was good as far as a defender. But we don't need him here to be Derek Harper. We need him to be, Ron Harper or whatever, someone that can get you some buckets that can help at least balance. Do you think about this? If Emmanuel Quickly actually hits his averages, we're probably winning game 1 and 2. We're winning those games.
They definitely would have won game 1, yeah.
Yeah, definitely won if he showed up, but he has not showed up in 2 series. I mean, we're not even talking about, Cleveland had the best defense. So we can excuse and say Cleveland defensively is the best team in the league. So therefore, he might have struggled because of that. But he's not getting any heat coming off the bench from the Heat, literally. No pun intended, but he's not getting pushed out of the lane or he's just not good right now. And
you're right.
He's just not good. He looks like someone who was a second-round pick towards the end right now. The end of the second round, which I can't say just second round because I think Deuce McBride right now would do a whole better job than Emmanuel Quickly. He would at least get out there and defend something or have an impact on winning or hit a shot. This dude, when you see Emmanuel, you can see when he's going to search at that goofy shot. I hate to call him, he's a nice kid. But it's that one play where you watch him, he's going to dribble around, he's like, oh, he's launching it. You're like, oh, he's going to launch it. He's going to launch it because that's the only thing he feels like he knows how to do is to go wrap around a pick or keep dribbling, and then he shot puts that shot. And it's like, dude, that's hero ball, dude. Where's your skill set? Like, you got to have some fundamental things to fall back on. We asked the same thing on RJ Barrett for the longest time. People were like, oh, what is RJ doing? RJ needs to learn how to dribble. He needs to know how to do this. But they were praising Emmanuel Quickly only because he looked better doing it. But his percentages are not great. What is he doing? He should not right now have minutes.
The speed. To me, one of his biggest pluses is his speed. I feel like he's a fast guy. Like, he can get up and down the court very fast.
Yeah.
So I don't know why. I feel like he's one guy who could push the pace a little more.
Yeah.
When he has the ball, like, attack the basket right away. Stop trying to, wait for other guys. Kind of be a little bit more like Josh Hart is. When you get the ball, push it and try and, get into the defense as fast as you can. Because that's something that I feel like he can do.
Mm-hmm.
We don't see enough of the floater. We've talked about this many times.
Yeah.
That was like his shot as a rookie. Like, we barely see it. He pulls it out every once in a while. I'm like, dude, if you're not scoring, if you're not hitting your outside shot, you got to do something. Because yes, he's much better defensively. So I give him, he's definitely improved there. One of their better defensive players now, I would say. But dude, this team needs you to score points. And when people have been saying like, oh, move Hart to the bench and start him instead. And yes, people have said start some people because he played better as a starter. So people were like, start him. I'm like, well, I don't think you reward him for bad play. So that's kind of what that would be doing. Yeah. But I mean, it's really mind-boggling to me how bad he has been. Like, he's even worse than Julius was against the Hawks.
Oh yeah, I agree.
Like, he is much worse, and it's that one. At least I understand. He was the focal point of the offense. They were gearing to stop him. No one's gearing to stop Emmanuel Quickley. Like,
he's not on the police report like that.
No. If he is, he's like fourth possible suspect because he was standing around the corner peeking. That's kind of what.
Maybe be out on him though, but you're right.
yeah. Not for that. It's crazy. It really is the most shocking thing to me about the playoffs it has been his play, and both of us have had a love-hate relationship with him. We honestly say it, and I really thought he had come around. I'm like, all right, at least he's gonna do this now. Like, this is what he's going to do.
Yeah,
and it's just not there, and I have no idea how to pinpoint. It has to be mental at this point. It has to be in his head. And I don't know how you fix that in the middle of a series. But I pray they have 3 days off from last night. We have Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. They don't play till Saturday. I don't know, man. Go see a shaman.
Rodgers and go in the dark room.
Do something. Because, man, he is just lost. Like, he's lost.
It's brutal. People think that, like, I cheer for our guys. It's not like I'm like a negative person towards, like, when he hit the shots last night, I said, oh, here we go. Come on. Like, I want him to win. It's not like I ever want him to be not successful. It's just, I just don't know. What are you doing out there? And I know Thibodeau has pulled him. He's limited his minutes.
Yeah, he only played 9 minutes last night.
He's aware of the issue. I'm just looking at him like, what's going on? This is a very scary territory for a guy who's due for an extension, who was 6th Man of the Year candidate. He lost. I don't know if he's thinking about that still. I don't know what it is, but he got stuck in the mud. He's not driving Gravedigger right now. He's just in the mud. He can't get out. And I'm always a person that thinks down the line. I'm like, well, you don't pay him. You can't pay him now. What you're going to pay him, you give to Josh Hart, because Josh Hart is doing what Emmanuel Quickley should be doing. What Josh Hart brought to this team was Emmanuel Quickley's role on this team, which was to be a really good defender of the ball, distribute and hit big shots when it's time to hit them, or be that extra, that distributor. Like, Josh Hart has been dynamite. I mean, when you look at how he plays, it's like, Emmanuel, whatever he was doing, that's what you should be doing. And Emmanuel quickly comes in the game, and it's like he's shell-shocked. I mean, literally, like, he's been mentally removed from the game. Maybe it's a Kentucky water thing. Maybe it's all that bluegrass down in Kentucky. Because those dudes from Kentucky got a little mental weakness for some reason, because Julius was like that. The deer in headlights 2 years ago, though, Julius has resurrected himself, it seems like. But Emmanuel Quickley, it's like, dude, you and this dude dancing around the Garden, I thought that maybe being on the road might have overwhelmed him, but I figured he's going to come to the Garden. He always has good games in the Garden. He gets behind the crowd. They love him. And to know that he's like, I hate to say it, he looks scared. And I don't like saying that about an athlete or anybody, but he looks like the moment is too big for him. And he cannot get out of it. He cannot get over it. And like I said, I think a guy like Deuce McBride is probably the better guy you insert, because, like you often say, he has that football mentality. He's used to getting hit. He can't go out there and play not up to standard, because he has that mindset that if I don't play tough, then I can die. I mean, literally, that's how football is. You're not mentally into the game, you can die out there. So, McBride would be ready to punch somebody, hit somebody, guard somebody, hit a shot, do anything, whatever needs the coach needs. And Emmanuel looks like he's ready to go home, and that's just not a good look for a guy looking
No,
for an extension. I mean, we can't have regular season Ramsey here. That doesn't work in New York.
it's true. I don't know what it is. It really does kind of surprise me though. That because there's no I'm a logical person. I always try and say, okay, well, what happened? And
Yeah.
there's no logical explanation for this.
Exactly.
None. I mean, he averaged 15 points and shot 45% during the regular season, 37 from three, and he's shooting 35% from the field, 24 from three, and
Wow.
averaging only 9 points. So literally 5 points less per game from him. And really the only game he had where he had like a impactful game was game 5 against Cleveland. He had 19 that game and he played. That's really it. There really was not another game in the playoffs where he's been noticeable except for bad things. Like it really is a crazy turn of events.
Yeah, because I'm like, well, like you were saying, like what? There's nothing that I've seen, and I agree with you. There's nothing I've seen that someone's doing different to him. You're coming out, you're in the second unit, but it just seems like he's like the one thing I've noticed that he's done from throughout his career when we've talked about him in not a good way is that he comes into the game and he does that 2 dribble and then he's looking around the pass like he's willing to cough up the ball.
Yeah, don't give up your dribble. Yeah.
Yeah, and he tends to concede the dribble and say, here, and then he goes around and you're standing there, dude, because you're not if you're not hitting those shots, and why are you out? I mean, literally, I'm not trying to the dog the kid. I know he's a nice kid. It's just, but what are you doing out there? You're not supposed to be out
It's
there.
true.
It's like you're not supposed to be out there right now. You're out there to do what? Because what you're great at or what your role is, it's not happening. I mean, literally, you could put Derrick Rose in that position, and he probably give you more. And I'm not saying because Derrick's going to come out and give you 30. It's just you would feel the energy better, like he's at least trying to make an attempt at the rim or get to the hole or get somebody a pass. Because that's the thing. If you're not scoring, at least are you not going to look for Obi on a lob or something, or Mitch on a lob, or saying, I'm going to come set you up, or come run this pick, and if the guy bites, roll to the basket. It's like even Brunson took picks. That's how he ended up breaking up that 3-man wall. He Hart came up and gave him picks, and he's like, okay, let me operate that way. But it's like Emmanuel doesn't do. He dribbles and he gives it up, and then he disappears. And other than last night, he had a couple of. Once again, he said he played fast. He went in for a couple of layups. And he got those, but by that time, I mean, I don't think anybody's paying that much attention to him. But, he got a couple of easy buckets or a couple of buckets, I should say.
They have enough depth at guard so that they don't have to play him. And again, Thibodeau's, like I said, he only played 9 minutes last night. So it's not like Thibodeau's sticking with him and saying, I'm going to ride or die with this kid. He's not Pat Riley with John Starks in game 7. He's not doing that. Like he's at least pulling him out of the taking him out of the game. But I mean, you have a guy. You brought up McBride. You brought up Derrick Rose. If you need shooting, you could play Fournier. These guys are veterans that you can turn to. They don't need a lot of playing time because they understand what it means to play. So you can have put one of them in.
Yeah.
I think it'd be a shock also to Miami if Derrick Rose got up off the bench and came in the game. Right? Like you can do other things to try and help your team. Rose is a scorer. So, like if you needed something, I'm sure he looks okay. I don't know how much he has left, but he claims he still has game left. So I don't know. I just, at some point, because Craig said it, Craig actually brought this up and he's right. From him or Grimes, they're probably gonna need a big game in Miami. But I mean, you can't wait. Yeah, this is the playoffs. You can't wait. If he's not good, go to one of your bench players, go to one of your veterans and say, like, you know what, we need 10 minutes. What can you give me?
Yeah.
And then see if they can come in and give you a nice little 6, 7, 8 point boost off the bench. Because you can't keep. I mean, he hasn't, like we said, to his credit, but he keeps playing him, right? Like he keeps putting him. He's still playing him in the game.
He's trusting him too
So
much. My bad.
yeah,
I mean,
and
some dumb loyalty. I mean, I understand Emmanuel has earned what he's done all season. I mean, like we said he's a 6-man candidate, but at this point, this is a new season. This is not the regular season. We often talk. There's 2 seasons. There's a regular season. You know, I said regular season you make your name, and in the postseason you make your fame. He's infamous right now for being terrible. So we have no fame, but a guy like Evan Fournier, a guy like Derrick Rose, they've been in these moments. They're not too huge for them. If you're giving them 5 minutes, they can't hurt you worse than Quickly's hurting you.
right now you're
5
right.
minutes. You know, if Evan comes in and can give you 2 3-point shots, and that's more than Quickly's giving you. Think about it, just two extra shots. If he had 2 threes, or Derrick Rose got 2 or 3 points, you know, in the paint and hit a free throw. A 3-point play right now, he would have had more points than almost Emmanuel Quickly's had throughout this whole series. And that's insane when you think about it.
Yeah, it's just it really is. It's the biggest surprise to me, and the fact that they've been able to win, like they won the first round, and that they won yesterday without him giving them much of anything. It's really been a testament to everybody else.
Yeah.
You know, part of me hopes that we find out that something's going up with him physically, because then at least you could say, all right, well, that explains it, but it doesn't look like it to me. And he's just been completely lost. So I don't know. I have no idea what to make of it, but it's surprising and alarming and really, to be honest, quite sad.
All I gotta do is say prodigy and havoc. That's all I gotta tell you.
Yeah, survival of the fittest. That's true.
Somebody shook. There's a shook one somewhere because he looks just. I feel bad because you know what, this sport is all about confidence, and unfortunately, when you're getting judged on this big stage by people like us, you know, and the fan base, but it's like, I think the thing is, if you're going to lose, or you don't have, if we're seeing you contribute some way, and you're just not hitting your shots, I think it's great. I just think Emmanuel tends to, when he's not hitting his shot, we don't see anything else from him. Like, you're not rebounding the ball, you're not hawking the ball on a dribbler. Like, Kyle Lowry should not be eating your lunch if you are not hitting your shot. So at least stick Kyle Lowry.
Yeah.
At least don't let him burn you. There was a couple of plays where, and I know Kyle is a veteran, and I know he gets away with a lot of goofy stuff. Well, let's put it where it is.
He's crafty, yeah. He's a crafty guy.
He gets away with a lot of goofy antics, and he comes in. The refs know he's going to come and do that. And I just think Emmanuel should have at least been able to say, look, we're shutting that down. I'm going to try to shut this down from you coming in here doing your craziness, you know. But, I mean, Kyle Lowry's not in shape like that. We know it. He's not.
No, he's not.
He's not in shape like that. So it's like, at least then you make sure you see if this old man Treads can run off, you know, and at least attack him. But Emmanuel's not even attacking him. That's the thing.
No.
He's not. I don't like when I don't see players that you got to keep it honest. I mean, we've seen even Mitch attack people off the dribble, like, you know, and saying, let me go out.
Yeah. Well, I just put it up there. The Knicks are taking their talents to South Beach now because the series shifts to Miami. You know, Miami was a very good home team this year. They were not a good road team, but they're a very good home team this year. That fan base is terrible, but the players like to play there. And as we know, there's a lot of things to do in Miami, especially for young rich guys. So if I'm hoping that Thibodeau says, no, we're not flying down there till Friday night.
Poontang pies was what we're talking about.
You know, like, let's fly down Friday night at about, I don't know. We'll take a late charter. We'll charter the plane late to fly down there. So the guys have to go right to bed. And because
no hanging with Eddie Curry is what you're saying?
No hanging with any of those. Just stay. Do not go to Ocean Drive.
Yeah. Drive by the ocean, but don't go on Ocean Drive.
Exactly. Don't go to Ocean Drive because I've been there and I can attest to some of the craziness that I've gotten into.
Yeah, that's a whole different animal now.
And I'm poor compared to them. So
yeah, no, that's a whole different.
yeah, so that's one of the things that I'm worried about. The Knicks are a young team, and this is where I hope the veterans step in and be like, whoa, like don't do that.
Yeah, there's more important things. Go there on the off season, not during the regular season.
It's a business trip. It's a business trip, right?
And the one thing I will say this about we know about Floridians is a lot of New Yorkers. So I think you're going to see a contingency of New Yorkers in Miami that are going to be Knicks fans that are going to show up. So
that's always the case.
Clearly, all the Knicks fans. It reminds me of that Homer Simpson meme where he's gone in the bushes and he's coming back out. This is what Knicks fans have been in hiding for a very long time, and now we're good. Like, we're global. I never knew it was this many Knicks fans. We like took the garbage bag off the top of our heads, and we're exposing ourselves now. Like we can feel proud about our team. So I think you're going to get a lot of New York in there as well. Usually that's what happens down in Florida, with Orlando or Miami. New York fan base is going to be in the building. I'm almost sure.
And I think for me, they have to get game 3. They have to win Saturday.
I agree.
You want to put the pressure right back on Miami to have to play a good game in game 4. So you want to get game 3. That's the game you want. You win game 3, then you have a possibility of getting game 4 because Miami will probably be a little tight, knowing that they go down 3-1. It's not a good look for them. So Jimmy Butler I would bet the house that he's going to play on Saturday, 3 days off.
He's playing.
He'll definitely be back. I'd be shocked if he wasn't. So they'll have their full complement. We should have our full complement of guys. And yeah, this series is going to be a fight because both of these teams are gritty teams. And, it's going to be a fight. I didn't think it'd be a fast series at all.
I never thought. I thought it might be. I thought 6 games.
Yeah.
Minimum. It might be a 7, but I think 6 games minimum.
But yeah, I mean, we have to, like I said, go down there like it's business. It's a business trip. Go down there, have your briefcase ready. Even though people don't use those anymore, but I'm showing my age a little bit. Okay, have your iPad ready, whatever you use.
Your Apple Watch, whatever you got
to do your presentations. Yeah, have everything ready. Just be focused. Make sure. Play smart. That's all I want them to do. Play smart. You got to play smart on the road in the playoffs. Play smart. And that's the biggest key. You're not going to have, like we said, it is a Florida team and there's a lot of New Yorkers. So it's possible we have a good presence there, but it's not going to be like being at MSG. So you have to be smart. Don't let the emotion of the game get to you. Be aware. Miami wants to dirty it up a little bit. So be aware of that. Julius, don't snap. That's that's the other thing. I don't know. There's all these things just going through my head, like what I'd be telling the team. Because again, game 3 to me is imperative. They have to get game 3.
That's always a swing game in most series anyway. For me, the Miami, if you had to ask me, and this is not a Knick bias, the Knicks have a better team, in my opinion.
Top to bottom, they definitely do, yes.
We have a better team. The thing that I worry the most about with the Knicks, which could be the difference in this series, is that you're there to win the game and not fight the refs. You can't fall for these antics. Jimmy Butler gets a lot of calls.
Yep.
Lowry does a lot of trickery. They do a little. Bam does. They do a little flop acting. I'm just saying what it is.
They're smart.
They're smart, crafty team.
Yeah.
What the Knicks need to do is just go down there and say, you can do whatever you want, but we're better than you. And come down with that mentality of we're just a better team at playing this game because we have the more talent and show the discipline that you need. It's coming down to discipline with the Knicks because I'm telling you, I look at this Knicks team, and this is not a fanboy talking. They got the stuff when focused to be a headache for any team that's in the playoffs right now. Because when you see guys that they just show up, they're a tough, gritty team. It's like they're the team that people are like, dang, we got to play them. Those guys don't stop coming. They don't stop. They're not going to relinquish and go, I'm ready to go home. They're going to keep drilling at you. They're going to keep coming at you. Guys like Josh Hart are relentless guys. I put up the article. I said he's a relentless Doberman pincher. That's what he is, So they go down there with that focus and not worrying about the refs. He's worried about beating Miami. I think they can beat them. But if they go down there and they're getting caught up in the Julius Randle type things of you didn't give me a call, that didn't go my way. Just go down there and handle business and let the best team win. And I think the Knicks are the better team to win.
Yeah, I agree. Definitely from 1 to 15, they're more talented. So, we need a complete effort, right? Like we need a complete effort. It'd be nice to see. Obi was bad last night. It'd be nice to see him have a big game.
Yeah,
Just do the things that they've been doing all year.
Yeah.
And they were a great road team this year. They were an excellent road team. So, we have to get game 3. Go, like you said, go down there. Let Miami, like we said, is going to muck it up. They want to try and dirty up the game. Don't get caught up in it. Play your game. Come home with a win. Hopefully 2, but we'll take 1. We'll take the split and come back home with that crazy crowd that we've been seeing. Dude, they're shutting down 7th Avenue after games and stuff. It's crazy. It's so nuts.
People think I'm crazy when I do say this all the time. I said that New York would implode if we won a title. We're showing that. It would
not too far off, though.
It would be the most ridiculous thing to ever happen in sports history. I'm putting it right out there now. Not because I'm a Knicks fan. I just don't think that people realize how much Knicks fans want to win a title. And to the point they're taking these rounds that are nowhere. Every game we win is a championship.
Yep. You see these freakazoids. I hate to call them that, but they're jumping up and down and closing down streets. And I mean, it's crazy. And they really need to relax because they're not going to make it to that far.
By the time we get to the finals, there's going to be a bunch of people that are going to either be in jail or, I don't know, sedated or whatever.
Oh, man.
It's just, I mean, it shows people that we are definitely people who love basketball. But, I mean, we often talk about it all the time. Like, do stars see this? If you choose to win here, Brunson's like the dude right now. I mean, these dudes, the fan base loves Josh Hart and Jalen Brunson. Probably can get free food anywhere in New York right now, and they haven't won anything. Simply because they're watching them, that fight and that grit, especially Josh Hart. That's what I like Josh Hart. Josh Hart he's a definite New Yorker now. I told you all that light skin energy before, singing Ja Rule songs, and we don't need that. But in the same sense, it's like he's every bit of what New York fans want out of their athletes, And he's got a good playful side to him too. But I'm telling you, we go to the finals, just shut down New York, just shut it down because it's just gonna be crazy.
Let's not get ahead of ourselves.
Yeah, let's not.
Go slow.
Let's get past game 3, but it's gonna be ridiculous. I mean, I think game 3 is gonna be it's going to be brutal. It's going to be not a nasty game, a lot of energy, a lot of pushing and a lot of shoving. We might get back to having some rivalry vibes.
Yeah, I think so.
I think the physical nature of that series is going to definitely come out the show.
Yeah, I agree. I think we're going to – this game coming up might be the first Knicks Heat game that we see in this series. So it's going to be interesting.
Yes.
All right, so we're going to close it down for this week, guys. So, Ty, really quickly tell them where they can find you.
Find me at Genius Scribble on Twitter. You can also find me engaging with you guys on our fan page on Facebook. Come holler at your boys, engage with us, give us show ideas. You feel free to post stuff if you want also. We got some new members that have come on, which is thankful. It's expanding, and we're happy to have you guys here. Our home is your home right now. So let's get at it and hopefully we can keep this winning streak going.
Yes, yes. And as Ty was saying, if you guys are enjoying what you're watching, make sure you like us, share us. I know that sounds weird, but that's what we want. Like us, share us with your family and your friends. Let them know where they can watch us again. It's every Wednesday night, usually around 9. We started early this week, which maybe that might be permanent. We'll see how it goes. But definitely, we love interacting with you guys, whether in here with the chat. You guys can talk to us here, right on and in the Facebook group as well. Ty puts a lot of articles up there. He does quick recaps of the games. So you guys can interact and give us your comments in that space as well. If you guys want to get in touch with me directly, you see my information there on the screen. At Finally33, spell Finale33 is my direct handle on Twitter. At all_Knicked_up is the handle for the show. I monitor that handle. So if you guys interact with me there, we could talk all the Knicks stuff there. I've actually started to engage with more mutuals and people on other Knicks fans through that handle because Twitter automatically just sends me Knicks stuff now because of the show. So I get to interact with more people, and it's been fun to do that there. So definitely, if you're having fun, give us a like and a follow. Let us know. We also are on YouTube. If you're watching us there, give us a like and a follow on YouTube, and subscribe to the channel. Anytime we do something new or something pops up, you will get an alert and you can come watch immediately. But I think that's all for now.
Yeah.
All right. So we're going to Miami. As Will Smith famously said, we're going to Miami. So we'll be there Saturday. We won't, but the Knicks will be there Saturday.
We're going to treat Miami like he did Rock.
Oh, boy. We'll slap him. Yeah. Hopefully. Figuratively speaking. But yeah, hopefully we come back at least tied at 2, yes. Hopefully up 3-1, and we can take it back to the Garden for a game 5. I believe that's either Thursday next week. I don't know. I have to look at the schedule. But there we go. So for Ty, I'm Eric. You are watching All Knicked Up, and we'll see you next time.